Hi friends, my name is Hemant Zadav, HOD ANTC, ICM Engineering College Aurangabad. In this video, we will discuss on linear and non-linear applications of op-amp. In previous video, we have seen some of the linear applications of op-amp. Let me repeat once again. Linear applications are the applications which are with feedback, which are also called as closed loop applications of op-amp. That means there is a feedback between output and input, and that's why they are called as closed loop and linear applications of op-amp. Non-linear applications are the applications which are without feedback, that means open loop configurations, no feedback between input and output. They are called as open loop configurations or non-linear applications of op-amp. In previous video, we have started with some linear applications like inverting amplifier, non-inverting amplifier, instrumentation amplifier using 3 op-amps, and etc. Here in this video, we will discuss summing amplifier, difference amplifier, some linear and then non-linear applications of op-amp. So let us start with the summing amplifier. So what is a summing amplifier? Okay, here you can see the name indicates that the circuit of op-amp whose output is proportional to the summation of several inputs. That means summation means addition of several inputs applied to the input terminal. That means VO is proportional to plus minus VO, V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V4 and so on. Here you can see the equation. Output voltage is proportional to addition of several input voltages, summation of several input voltages. Therefore it is called as a summing amplifier. It is also called as adder or summer. Adder means which adds the inputs, and summer means which is the summation of all the input voltages or signals. Okay, so a summing amplifier, it can be designed by using two configurations: inverting summing amplifier and non-inverting summing amplifier. It's very simple. When all the inputs are applied to inverting input terminal, all the inputs are applied to inverting input terminal, it is called as inverting summing amplifier. When all the inputs are applied to non-inverting input terminal, it is called as non-inverting summing amplifier. So you can see the circuit diagram here. There are three inputs, V1, V2 and V3, applied as an input to the inverting input terminal. Non-inverting input terminal is grounded. Here all these inputs are applied to non-inverting input terminal. R1, R2 and R3 are the three input resistors through which I1, I2 and I3 are the current flowings. RF is the feedback resistor through which IF is the current flowing. So the question can be asked in the exam: define a summing amplifier, draw its circuit diagram, explain its working, and prove that output voltage is proportional to summation of all the input voltages. Okay, so you can describe the circuit in your own language. Just I have explained here. How is the analysis of circuit? So as usual, apply KCL at node VB. Okay, where is node VB? Let us see. So node VB is here. You can see this is the point VB. Summation of incoming currents equal to summation of outgoing currents. So there are three incoming currents, I1, I2, I3, and two outgoing currents, IB2 and IF. IB2 here and IF is here. Okay, I1, I2 and I3 are the incoming currents. So equation becomes I1 plus I2 plus I3, right, is equal to IB2 plus IF, like this. Now for an ideal operational amplifier, we know that IB1 equal to IB2 is equal to 0 as infinite input impedance. So equation becomes I1 plus I2 plus I3 is equal to IF. You can convert this equation into voltage form. So it will be, for I1 you can write V1 minus VB divided by, for this I1 you can write this V1 minus VB divided by R1, because I1 is the current flowing through R1 from V1 to VB. Similarly, for I2 you can write V2 minus VB divided by R2, because I2 is the current flowing through R2 resistor from V2 point to VB point. Similarly, for I3 you can write V3 minus VB divided by R3, and for IF you can write VB minus VO divided by RF. Okay, now we will apply the virtual ground concept. Virtual ground and virtual short are the two concepts. Means when VA is equal to 0, that means connected to ground, VB is also equal to 0, virtually it is connected to ground. We have seen virtual ground concept in previous lecture. Okay, so if VA is equal to 0, VB is also equal to 0, keeping this in the equation number 2, so you will get this equation: V1 by R1 plus V2 by R2 plus V3 by R3 is equal to minus VO by RF. And you can simplify this. After simplification, finally you will get VO is equal to minus RF by R, by considering R1 is equal to R2 is equal to R3 is equal to R, means all resistors are having equal values. You will get the equation for VO like this, and this is a constant. RF by R is a constant value, minus RF by R. So finally you will get equation for output voltage as VO is proportional to minus of V1 plus V2 plus V3. This negative sign indicates it is an inverting summing amplifier. Okay, and output is summation of all the inputs. Similarly, you can have the non-inverting summing amplifier. What is the difference? The difference is that this all the inputs V1, V2 and V3 are applied to this non-inverting input terminal, and other terminal, inverting terminal, is grounded. Okay, R1, R2, R3 are same input resistor, I1, I2, I3 are the same input currents, etc. And RF is feedback resistor. Now the current direction you can see it is reversed here. Okay, so again you can write down in your own words the circuit description. Analysis, you should start from the KCL. Apply KCL at VA. Apply KCL. Where is the VA? VA point is here. So summation of incoming currents, I1, I2, I3 are the incoming currents, IB2 is outgoing current here. So you will get this equation. As you know that IB is equal to 0, so you can get I1 plus I2 plus I3 is equal to 0. Converting this equation into voltage form, just we have converted. I1 will be equal to V1 minus VA divided by R1, because I1 is the current flowing through R1 from V1 to VA. I2 is this and I3 is this one. So finally you can get VA is equal to this equation. Give this equation as equation number 2. Okay, so moving forward, now we have the general equation for gain of non-inverting amplifier. This is the non-inverting configuration. So gain of non-inverting amplifier is given by the equation. Which equation? VO by Vin is nothing but gain, output upon input. Here Vin is nothing but VA, so VO by VA, that means gain, is equal to 1 plus RF by R in is the general equation. Now from this we can get VO is equal to 1 plus RF by R in into VA, equation number 3. So keep the value of VA which we have calculated in equation number 2, and keep this in equation number 3. So here you will get VO is equal to 1 plus RF by R in, and this is nothing but the value of VA which from equation number 2. So by considering R1 equal to R2 equal to R3 is equal to R, and R in is equal to RF by 2, means all resistors equal, and R in that means input resistor equal to RF by R2, you will get this final equation. What does this equation tells us? Output is summation of all the input voltages. Now there is no negative sign, that means this is a non-inverting amplifier. Okay, output is not inverted at the output. So this is what about summing amplifier. Difference amplifier means subtractor. So very simple definition, you can write the circuit of operational amplifier in which output is difference between the two input signals. You can see here output VO is V1 minus V2. V1 is the voltage applied at non-inverting terminal, V2 is the voltage at inverting input terminal. Two separate input voltages are applied. In previous case only one input is applied and another terminal is connected to ground. Here the two separate input voltages are applied to the two input terminals, so that output will be some difference between the two input voltages. So you can analyze this as well by using the superposition theorem. So to find V1 due to V1, just make considering V2 is equal to 0, right? So considering this V2 is equal to 0, you will get the value of V1 by considering VO1 when V1 is applied. So making V2 0, and you will get, by considering this first case VO1, you will get as V1 by 2 1 plus R by R is equal to V1. Okay, so VO1 you will get as V1. How you will get V1? By considering V2 is equal to 0, you are applying superposition theorem. Similarly, you will get VO2 by considering only due to V2. Just consider V1 is grounded, that means V1 is equal to 0. So after that you will get VO2 is equal to minus V2. Here you will get VO1 is equal to V1 and VO2 is equal to minus V2. Keeping the values here, finally you will get output voltage VO is equal to V1 minus V2. That is called as a difference amplifier, not differentiator. Difference amplifier, that means subtractor. Differentiator is a different circuit in which output is derivative of input. Okay, so difference amplifier or subtractor it is. Then moving to the next circuit, Schmitt trigger circuit. We are discussing linear applications of op-amp, and after that we will discuss non-linear applications. Okay, linear means with feedback and non-linear means without feedback. Here there is one more circuit in which in all the applications of op-amp we use negative feedback as an amplifier, but Schmitt trigger is the only one circuit in which the feedback is positive. You can see in the circuit diagram, the output is connected to positive terminal of op-amp, that means non-inverting terminal of op-amp. Okay, so keep in mind that Schmitt trigger is a circuit in which there is a positive feedback, and in all the applications of op-amp there is a negative feedback. So what is a Schmitt trigger? A circuit of op-amp which uses positive feedback, which permits only two stable states, that is plus Vsat and minus Vsat, and all intermediate stages are unstable because the circuit has natural tendency to saturate. That means whatever may be the input signal, sine, square, triangular, whatever it may be, the output will be always a square wave. Square wave means always it will be at plus Vsat or minus Vsat, positive saturation or negative saturation. This means this circuit generates a square wave for any type of input signal applied. That's why it is also called as squaring circuit, and as it uses the positive feedback also, therefore it is also called as regenerative comparator. Okay, so there are three names to this Schmitt trigger circuit. Number one, Schmitt trigger is there. Number two is a squaring circuit using op-amp, and number three a regenerative comparator. Okay, so depending on the applications, again there are two types to which depending on to which terminal we have applied the input signal: inverting Schmitt trigger and non-inverting Schmitt trigger. Okay, so in the exam you have to write only one. Whenever it is asked in general, explain summing amplifier, explain Schmitt trigger, so just keep in mind, you have to just remember the circuit diagram of inverting Schmitt trigger, inverting summing amplifier, and do not explain other type, that is non-inverting type. Okay, explain any one. Okay, unless and until it is asked in the exam particularly. So here is the circuit diagram of inverting summing amplifier. You can see here the input signal is applied to which terminal? Inverting input terminal, that means negative, and feedback is given to non-inverting terminal, that is positive. Okay, so R1 and R2 forms the voltage divider network at the output, where VR is the voltage generated because of voltage divider network, and that is applied as a reference voltage to the non-inverting input terminal. Okay, so you can write down in your words, or in your own words, the circuit description. So that means the reference voltage VR, which is formed because of potential divider R1 and R2, and this VR is acting as a reference voltage, and that is applied to the positive terminal of op-amp. The value and polarity of this reference voltage depends on the output voltage. How? Like this, because when V1 VO, as I told you, there are only two values of output voltage, plus Vsat or minus Vsat. So when VO is equal to plus Vsat, VR is called as upper threshold voltage. VUT, UT stands for upper threshold voltage, and whose value depend on the resistors which are used in voltage divider. So VR will be equal to VUT is equal to R2 by R1 plus R2 plus Vsat. So this equation is by means of it is because of voltage divider rule. VUT means upper threshold voltage. It is nothing but reference voltage which is obtained when the output voltage is plus Vsat, and it can be determined by using this formula R2 by R1 plus R2 into Vsat. Similarly, when the output voltage is minus Vsat, okay, there are two levels, plus Vsat and minus Vsat. When output voltage is equal to minus Vsat, the reference voltage VR is called as lower threshold voltage. It is called as lower threshold voltage, and whose value it is denoted as VLT, whose value can be calculated again in the same way by using voltage divider rule, R2 by R1 plus R2 into minus Vsat. So therefore there are two voltage levels, plus Vsat minus Vsat at the output, and therefore there are two reference voltages, VUT and VLT. So VUT is a positive reference voltage obtained when the output voltage is plus Vsat, and VLT is the negative reference voltage obtained when the output voltage is minus Vsat. So depending on this, if the input voltage is a sine wave like this, it is a sine wave, and there are two reference voltage levels. This one is upper threshold level, and this lower one is the lower threshold, VLT and VUT as shown here. So you will get the output depending on these two levels as at plus Vsat and minus Vsat, and sine wave is converted into square wave. Okay, so you can see here, as it is a inverting Schmitt trigger circuit, for the positive peak you are getting here 0, and for the negative peak you are getting here 1. Okay, as it is inverting Schmitt trigger circuit. Now moving to the non-inverting circuit, again it can be further analyzed. What I told you that is written over here. The interval between VLT and VUT, it is called as dead band. When that means input signal between lower threshold voltage and upper threshold voltage, it is called as a dead band, because any variations in input signal within this band, within this interval, yields no change in the output voltage. The difference between VUT and VLT, it is called as hysteresis width, denoted as VH, which can be given by this formula. VH is equal to VUT minus VLT. So keeping the value of VUT from that formula, here VLT from that formula, simplifying it, and finally you will get VH, that means the hysteresis width is equal to twice of R2 into Vsat divided by R1 plus R2. Okay, so again non-inverting Schmitt trigger, what is done here, the input signal is changed. Now the input is applied to non-inverting input terminal here, right, positive terminal, and other terminal is grounded. So R1 R2 forms the voltage divider here. You can analyze the circuit in the same way, and how will be the waveform. Now you can see it is a non-inverting Schmitt trigger, therefore for the positive peak you are getting 1, and negative peak you are getting 0. Okay, same as the input, positive के लिए 1 positive that, and 0 के लिए 0 negative. Okay, so it is a non-inverting Schmitt trigger. Working is same, but the only input signal is applied at the non-inverting terminal. Okay, now coming to the next application, current to voltage converter, I to V converter. It is not mentioned in your syllabus, but in the last exam the question was asked in the I to V converter. I to V converter is nothing but current to voltage converter. You can define the circuit as the circuit of op-amp which can convert a current source input into proportional output voltage. Means input को क्या रहेगा, current, and it will convert this current source input into output voltage. Okay, VO will be proportional to what, I in or IS is the source current or input current. So here you can see the circuit diagram. The circuit diagram is like this. You have applied input signal as a current source. When the current source is connected like this, its resistance is in parallel. IS is the input current, RF and IF are the feedback resistor feedback current, output voltage, inverting terminal to which input signal is applied, non-inverting terminal is grounded. Other nomenclature is same, IB1, IB2, V1, V2 points are there same. So you can write down the description in your own words. So in the analysis, again, very first step is apply KCL at node V2. Apply KCL at node V2. Where is node V2? Is here, you can see node V2 is here. So incoming currents IS is equal to IB2 plus IF. IB2 is equal to 0 because infinite input impedance of op amp. So IS become equal to IF, and you can convert this into voltage form. Keep this IS as it is. IF is the current flowing from V2 to VO through RF, and then apply virtual ground concept. If V1 is equal to 0, V2 is also equal to 0. Therefore you will get IS is equal to minus VO by RF. VO is equal to minus RF into IS. As RF is constant, so VO is proportional to minus IS. So the circuit of op amp in which output voltage is proportional to input current, that is called as, here we have proved it mathematically by this equation. Current output voltage is proportional to the input current, and that negative sign, this negative sign indicates it is an inverting I to V converter. There can be a non-inverting I to V converter, but as I told you, you have to explain any one. Moving further, voltage to current converter. So it is exactly opposite of I to V converter. It is the circuit of op amp which converts the input voltage to the proportional output current. पहले केस में input current to proportional output voltage, here input voltage to proportional output current. So there are two types of circuits, V2I converter with floating load, V2I converter with grounded load. You have to just explain any one. So let us see this V2I converter with floating load. Here the feedback resistor is considered as a load, and it is floating, it is not grounded. That means connected between pin number 2 and 6, there is no ground connected. That's why the name is given as floating load, and RL is nothing but RF, through which IL is the current flowing, and it is considered as a load, floating load. That's why the name is given. So how is the circuit description? Again, V in is the input voltage applied to inverting input terminal. I1 is the current flowing through R1. Instead of RF there is RL, which is acting as a load, floating load. Output voltage is there as usual. So how will be the analysis? Again, the first step is apply KCL at node V2. The node V2 you can see here. So the equation becomes I1 is equal to IB2 plus IL. IB2 is equal to 0 as usual because of infinite input impedance. So equation becomes I1 is equal to IL. Keeping this IL as it is, convert I1 into voltage form. So I1 is the current flowing through R1. That's why from V into V2, therefore I1 is equal to written as V upon R. So V is V in minus V2 divided by R1. And apply virtual ground concept. If one terminal is grounded, another terminal is also virtually grounded. So V1 is equal to 0, V2 is also equal to 0. You will get IL is equal to V in by R1. So finally you will get this equation, IL is equal to A into V in. A is constant, so IL means load current, as load current is proportional to V in because A is constant. So IL is proportional to V in, as this A is kept as constant. So what does this circuit indicates? That output current is proportional to input voltage. That's why it is called as a V2I converter. Input is voltage, and output is a load current IL, V to I converter. Coming to the next application, there are some application using diodes, half wave rectifier and full wave rectifier. These are called as precision rectifiers. Precision means having accuracy. As we know that ordinary diode can rectify the signals above 0.6 or 0.7 volt, because we know that cut-in voltage or barrier potential for ordinary diode, for silicon diode, is zero point 0.6 or 0.7 volt only. 0.6 volt means 600 millivolt. So it can rectify the signals above 600 millivolt only, because it is getting on after 600 millivolt only. 0.6 वोल्ट के ऊपर ही वो ऑन होता है, तो उसके आगे का ही वोल्टेज वो रेक्टिफाई कर सकता है. तो अगर हमें मिली वोल्ट में सिग्नल रेक्टिफाई करना है, दैट मीन्स बिलो 600 मिली वोल्ट, दैट मीन्स बिलो 0.6 वोल्ट, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? वी हैव टू यूज़ द ओपैम्प बेस्ड सर्किट्स. So accuracy of rectification increases. That's why these op-amp circuits using the diodes and op-amp, we can configure half wave and full wave rectifiers. These are called as precision rectifiers. Okay, so let us see. First of all, half wave rectifier using op-amp and diode. Half wave rectifier, this is the circuit diagram. You can see, you know the working of half wave rectifier also. This circuit is called as precision diode, ideal diode, or it is also called as precision half wave rectifier using op-amp. You can see there is one operational amplifier, no feedback resistor is there, unity gain, it is called as unity gain amplifier as no feedback is there. Okay, and a diode is connected. So input signal like a sine wave is applied as an input to non-inverting input terminal. Let us consider the positive input half cycle. For this positive half cycle, even if it is in millivolt, it will be amplified by the op-amp, and it will be, this positive half cycle is applied to the anode of diode. This diode becomes forward bias, and you will get the positive half cycle in the output. So for positive half cycle, D1 diode D is on, and you will get the output. Similarly, if you consider the negative half cycle here, negative half cycle, for the negative half cycle, the diode becomes reverse biased, and it remains off, and you will not get any output for this negative half cycle. Again, for positive, diode is forward bias, and you will get the output across the load. So simple forward bias diode using op-amp. It is used, op-amp is used because we cannot rectify the signals below 0.6 volts. So first of all, this can be amplified. It will be applied to the diode, so that it will be more accurate rectification. Then similarly, full wave rectifier using diode. This is the circuit diagram. Again, the complete sinusoidal waveform is applied as an input. You can see from this side, a sine wave input is applied. There are two op-amp, A1 and A2, two diodes D1, D2. You can write down the circuit description in your own language. So we will consider the positive half cycle applied at the input side here. So what will happen when positive is applied to A1? As A1 is connected in inverting mode, right? It is connected in inverting mode. This input is applied to inverting terminal. So positive half cycle will get inverted. You will get negative half cycle. Here in the output of A1 is a negative half cycle. Because of this, diode D1 will becomes forward bias, means it will act as a closed switch. That's why the circuit becomes like this. For the positive half cycle, the circuit becomes like this. So for positive half cycle, diode becomes forward bias. Here you will get negative half cycle inversion. Because of this, diode becomes forward bias. This will be closed, and it will be applied to op-amp inverting terminal of op-amp A2. This negative half cycle will be applied to inverting terminal of A2, and this is also inverting. You will get again positive half cycle in the output. Okay, so for positive half cycle applied at the input, here I will repeat once again. For the positive half cycle applied at the input, here also at the output of A1 you will get inversion of it, because it is inverting amplifier. Diode D1 become forward bias. This inverted input signal is applied to op-amp A2, which is again an inverting amplifier. Again it will be inverted, and finally you will get positive half cycle at the output. So this second one is the equivalent circuit. when positive half cycle is applied. Similarly, consider the negative half cycle. So when you consider negative half cycle, that means Vi is less than input signal is less than 0. In previous case, input signal is greater than 0, positive half cycle. In second case, input signal less than 0, that is negative half cycle is applied like this here. So what will happen? As the first op amp is an inverting amplifier, for the negative half cycle you will get positive half cycle at the output. Now diode D2 becomes forward bias. As D2 become forward bias and D1 become reverse bias, so it will be the combination of twice of our two resistors will be in series, and that positive half cycle will be applied to non-inverting terminal of A2, and we know that there will not be any inversion in A2, and finally you will get the positive half cycle as it is. Okay, so in previous case also for positive half cycle you are getting positive, in second case also in negative half cycle you are getting positive output. Here you can see for positive half cycle you will get positive half cycle, for negative half cycle of the input signal you will get again positive half cycle due to the circuit arrangement. So this circuit act as a full wave rectifier. There are two diodes used. Coming to the next application of op amp, peak detector. Okay, peak detector is a very simple circuit. You can see here. So peak detector is a simple op amp based circuit which is used to compute the peak value, that means highest value of the input voltage. The circuit follows the voltage peak of the any applied input signal and stores the highest value on a capacitor. As you can see that there is an operational amplifier, then there is a diode and a capacitor and a switch arrangement is there. In the feedback, no feedback resistor is used, and here you are getting the output voltage. So the function of this circuit is to detect the peak value of the input signal applied and to store in the capacitor. Okay, if the next peak value is highest than previous value, then this next value is stored, and the highest peak value is stored until the capacitor is discharged. Okay, unless and until you have not discharged the capacitor, you can store these highest values. So to store the highest value of input signal, this circuit is used. That's why the name is given as peak detector. It detects the highest value of applied input signal. Okay, so when input signal is greater than Vc means capacitor voltage, the diode is forward bias. As the diode is forward bias, the circuit becomes voltage follower. Diode is on, and it's that highest value stored in the capacitor. In the second case, when Vi drops below capacitor voltage, the diode become reverse bias and capacitor holds this charge. So by using a switch we can reset the circuit, we can reset the capacitor and it can be made 0. So this circuit can be used to get the most negative or most lowest voltage of signal just by reversing the diode polarities. In as it is, it can be used to detect the positive peaks. If you reverse the polarity of diode, you will get the negative peaks. Here you can see the waveforms. These are the positive peaks detected by this circuit. This is the input signal applied to this peak detector circuit. As you can see, first of all, this value is stored in the capacitor as when the diode is forward bias. Then the next peak comes, the capacitor will be charged to this highest peak value, and that can be held by the capacitor. Okay, so highest values or peak values are detected by the circuit and stored in the capacitor. That's why it is called as a peak detector circuit. Okay, let us move further. Next application of op amp, sample and hold circuit. Okay, its name indicates that sampling and holding. A sample and hold circuit is a circuit which samples the input signal and holds on to its last sample value until the input is sampled again. That means it takes the samples of an input signal, and these samples are hold onto its last sample value until the input is sampled again. This type of circuit is very useful in digital interfacing, ADC, PCM systems, etc. You can see the circuit diagram. Here you can see that there are two operational amplifiers, A1 and A2, connected in unity gain configuration. Unity gain means no feedback used, just output is given back to the input, inverting input terminal in both cases, without any feedback resistors. Input Vi is applied to the non-inverting terminal of A1. In between there is a control switch, electronic switch as a MOSFET, and control voltage is applied to this switch. So the original circuit is only this much sampling, which is doing the work of sampling and holding the signal. So that signal which is applied as an input from this side, Vin, will be applied to the op-amp, then given to the switch, that is MOSFET, and that will be stored in this capacitor, holding capacitor. This C is called as a holding capacitor. So input signals samples are amplified by op-amp A1. The control voltage provides it decides the on-off action of the N-channel E MOSFET, that is acting as a control switch, and the control voltage is applied to the gate terminal of MOSFET. It decides the on-off action of the switch, and depending on that it takes the samples of the input signal, and these samples, so input signal is getting from this side, control voltage is given to the gate of this MOSFET, and this switch takes the samples, and these are stored in this capacitor, held by this capacitor. So sampling is done by the switch and control depending on the control voltage, and these are means stored in the capacitor, which is called as a holding capacitor. You can see the waveform here. The input signals is applied as a sinusoidal waveform. This is the control voltage discrete waveform, and these are the values stored in the capacitor. One popular IC LF398 is used as a sample and hold IC, which consists of two op-amps and that switching arrangement. Okay, so what is the role of these two op-amps? These two op-amps are just used as a buffering, for the purpose of buffering, to avoid the loading effect, and these two provide the used as a buffer circuits. Okay, and the main circuit is this control switch with this capacitor, and the control voltage is applied, and at both input and output side two op-amps are used for the purpose of avoiding the loading effect, and they are used as a buffer. Okay, so the analog input signal Vi that is to be sampled is applied to it is given to the drain terminal of MOSFET, and the control voltage Vc is applied to the gate. The MOSFET works as a switch, and it is controlled by the control voltage Vc, and the capacitor store the charge. Okay, so when Vc is positive, MOSFET turns on, that means capacitor gets charged to the instantaneous value of the input voltage, and the Vi appears across the capacitor, and then at the output through the voltage follower A2. Okay, so when in the second case, when Vc is equal to 0, MOSFET is off, the capacitor is now facing the high input impedance of A2, and hence it cannot be discharged. The capacitor holds the voltage across it. Okay, so whatever is the input signal is applied, it will be sampled and it will be held by the capacitor. So this is what the sample and hold circuit. Coming to the next application, this is open loop application of op-amp comparator. There is no feedback applied, as you can see here. Comparator can be of non-inverting and inverting as usual, depending on to which terminal we have applied the input signal. When we apply the input signal to non-inverting terminal, it will be called as non-inverting comparator. Okay, so what is basically a comparator? A comparator is a circuit which compares the input voltage signal applied at one input of an op-amp with a known reference voltage at the other input. It is basically a open loop op-amp with positive or negative Vsat, which is equal to Vcc. I'll repeat. A comparator is a circuit which compares two input voltages applied at two input signals, applied at two input terminals. Which two input voltages? One is the applied input voltage, another is a fixed reference voltage, known fixed reference voltage. Comparison of these two, that's why it is called as a comparator. Okay, so it is basically a open loop because there is no feedback operational amplifier. So there will be only two output levels, either plus Vsat or minus Vsat. We know that whenever there is no feedback, that means open loop configuration, the gain of op amp is very high. Ideally it is infinite, so output goes to saturation. So there will be two saturation levels, either plus Vsat or minus Vsat. Plus Vsat will be equal to plus Vcc and minus Vsat will be equal to minus Vcc. So again there are two types, non-inverting comparator and inverting comparator. So here is the circuit of non-inverting comparator, as input signal is applied to non-inverting terminal, and to the inverting terminal a reference voltage, fixed reference voltage is applied, which is acting as a reference voltage, V reference. Okay, so what will happen here? This is the input signal. The reference voltage is positive, applied to that means below, above ground. It is sine wave is the input signal. DC reference voltage we have applied, it is above 0 because it is a positive reference voltage. So depending on that positive reference voltage, that for as it is a non-inverting comparator, as I told you, you will get only plus Vsat and minus Vsat, two levels like this. So for this positive peak you are getting this positive output 1, and for the negative peak you are getting this square wave of 0. Okay, so for Vi is greater than reference voltage, input voltage greater than reference voltage, that means this portion which is above the reference voltage. For Vi greater than reference voltage you are getting the output 1, and for Vi less than reference voltage you are getting the output 0. I'll repeat once again. For input signal, the input signal is a sine wave. For input signal greater than reference voltage, means above this reference voltage level, you will get this output. For positive peak, one output, as it is a non-inverting amplifier. And for V input signal less than reference voltage, you will get this output. That means for negative you are getting 0 output. This is called as non-inverting comparator. It's exactly opposite of this is a inverting comparator. For positive half cycle you will get 0 output, and for negative half cycle you will get 1 output. So what is the change made in the circuit diagram is that now the input signal is applied to inverting input terminal. In case of inverting comparator, input signal is applied to inverting terminal, and to the non-inverting terminal reference voltage, fixed reference voltage is applied. There is no feedback. So exactly opposite waveforms you will get here. So this is what about the linear and non-linear applications of op-amp. Linear applications are the applications with feedback, which are also called as closed loop applications of op-amp, and open loop applications are also called as non-linear applications of op-amp. In your syllabus, linear applications like inverting amplifier, non-inverting amplifier, instrumentation amplifier, Schmitt trigger, sample and hold circuit, then V2I, I2V converter, then we have seen that one precision rectifier, half wave and full wave rectifier, that we have seen. In non-linear application, comparator, then peak detector, just a minute, comparator, then peak detector, and these are only in your syllabus. So we have finished the linear and non-linear applications of op-amp. In the next video we will discuss on PLL. So up to this video, that's all about the linear and non-linear applications. Let us stop here. Thank you.